Good morning. Happy Thursday. And every Thursday at this time, we have the opportunity to speak with the mayor of the city of Fall River, Mayor Paul Coogan. Mr. Mayor, good morning. How are you today?
Morning, Keith. How's it going?
It's going well. Summer is here. And, I was telling people I've been fortunate enough to do these interviews from my home for quite a while now. I started in March with a sweater. Now that, it's getting a little warmer, I'm still wearing a shirt and tie on occasion, but a lot more short sleeve shirts. And I don't know whether I'm going to migrate back to sweaters as we get closer to the fall, but we'll have to wait and see.
We all know you're sitting there in gym shorts, Keith, with a shirt and tie on, so you look good.
But I'm comfortable at the same time, as they say.
I'd be doing the same thing if I was home.
I know. I want to get to something that's actually developing right now, Mayor. The governor, I believe at noontime, is going to be holding a press event where we are expected to hear some more details from the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education about how schools may look in the fall. And, I've got something that just came out from one of the press services, and I just want to take a moment to read a little bit of it and then get your reaction. It looks like that local school districts will be asked to provide 3 scenarios for schools this fall. One, entirely remote learning. One, a hybrid of remote and in-person instruction, and others, a more in-person instruction with a lot more adherence to health protocols. According to what may be announced today, all adults and students in 2nd grade and above will be required to wear masks or face coverings, and there will be time for what they're calling mask breaks throughout the day. Classrooms are going to be asked to be rearranged to accommodate physical distancing. However, they're looking for a 6 feet social distance where feasible, but with 3 feet of minimum distance allowed. And also, it looks like, again, from what reports are coming out right now, that there will be not be a prescribed maximum group sizes in terms of schools, and they're asking schools to use libraries and larger locations for some of their in-person learning. First of all, Mayor, I don't know if you've heard any of that ahead of time. And if you have, can you give any indications on, any plans for the city of Fall River this year?
Well, actually, the superintendent has his working team analyzing all 3 of those plans right now. I hear from a lot of people, they obviously want the kids back in school safely. I would favor that. I thought they said the 6-foot radius was if you didn't have a mask on, and it was 3 feet if you had a mask. So I'm not sure. I mean, we're hearing so many different stories.
Yeah.
I think school is important. I know I was talking to someone from Diamond this morning. They have this very similar issues. What do you do with a vocational class and an academic class? How do you rotate? Do you have virtual learning for the academics and the shops? You're in the building. So everybody's going to wrestle with this. I really don't like commenting until I see something official, and I know the governor's announcing it today. My preference, of course, would be the kids in school. So they're going to get a better education in school than online. There's no doubt about that. I'm totally confident in that, and I think it puts a city back on a rhythm when the kids are in school and they're on the buses. And again, you didn't mention that, but that's another issue. What number can you put on a bus, and how do we pay for the additional buses if that's the case? So there's a bunch of factors that are going to still be floating around for a little while here, even after he announces today. So let's see what happens, Keith.
And obviously, that'll get back to, the costs of doing some of these things. And are you expecting, Mayor, that there may be a deadline from the state in terms of maybe how local districts need to sort of inform the state on how they plan to move forward? Or is that just, as far as you know right now, again, we don't know all the specific details, or whether it'll just be controlled on a local level?
Yeah, I think I could have sworn that I heard the state was going to tell us how to do it. But if they're offering you options, then that's going to take a little more time to evaluate all 3. We'll see how it plays out. That's all we can do right now. We're at the mercy of the state. They're going to give us the guidance we need. DESC is very involved in the Florida Public Schools. They keep a close eye on us, and we'll work with them to get our kids the best education that we're able to provide.
Dovetailing now into what this may mean in terms of city finances, we really don't know how this is going to shake out until we get more on the education side. But this week, the city council voted 8-0 to approve your administration's 1/12 budget to start the fiscal year 2020. I know that's not an alternative that everyone wanted, just because of the fact that people would like some certainty, but it was put forward, it was approved, and now the city, I guess, can continue to move forward with the information it has, right, Mayor, in terms of developing a full 2021 budget, which may come as early as next month, right, before the council,
Right.
potentially.
Well, I think what we're hearing, just like with the schools, is the middle of the month is when we'll get the numbers from the state regarding the funding for the city of Fall River. We're obviously still waiting to get some clarity on what the federal government wants to do with their money. We'll wait and see how this pandemic plays out in Massachusetts, because still so many things depend on that. And again, we want to thank all the councilors for supporting the continuing appropriation budget. It was a big vote, but it was also the right vote, because we need to buy some time. We don't want to be giving out any unnecessary layoff notices. We don't want to be making any unnecessary cuts till we know exactly where we're going and the best possible way to do it. I meet frequently with our CFO, Mary Sahadi, and the team to look at different scenarios. We had the chief in the other day. We work with our department heads. We're going to do what's best for the city, try to be fiscally prudent, and keep the city on an even keel.
Another vote that the city council took on Tuesday was to approve the water and sewer budget for the entire year. And that's going to mean, unfortunately, Mayor, increases for water and sewer usage. Always a bone of contention whenever fees have to go up. And I know some people are probably disappointed at it. Looks like the average homeowner will see about a $20 a year increase. I guess talk a little bit about, sometimes that justification is not easy to make as a mayor.
No, it's not. I mean, and you got to remember, a lot of those costs are built in automatically, whether it's contracts for services, whether it's the CSO project. There are numbers that just are automatic before you take one step to do anything outside of the mandated costs. We were looking at a bunch of scenarios. We would have lost a lot of people that work for the water department if that had not gone through. I applaud the councilors. They voted yes or no. I hope they all vote their conscience. But anytime you raise a fee or a tax or anything in a city, we saw that with trash bags and the trash fee. It's a burden on homeowners, and especially now when a lot of people are not working, it's difficult. But you still have to run a city, and I don't think anyone wants to live in a city where we have dirty water or any kind of sewer problems. We're very blessed in Fall River with drinking water that's of very high quality. Matter of fact, we're exploring some other alternatives to try to sell some water, which may offset any increases in the future. Those are the kind of things we need to do, find ways to bring new money to the table without hitting the homeowners or the ratepayers.
Dovetailing now to COVID-19 in general, again, more of the city is continuing to reopen. I know you gave some updates to the city council in terms of, we talked about this last week, in terms of restaurants now being able to open. I believe you had mentioned that most of those restaurants who want to provide service outside are now able to do so. Some inside dining will now be available as well. Again, how is that working out in terms of city businesses reopening from where you see it?
From where I see it, I see very few complaints. We have one business we're working with right now, which might have a few challenges. But other than that, I think the ones that are up and running are the ones that wanted to be up and running. Now that we're transitioning to indoor meals also, I think you're going to see people slowly come back to the restaurants. I'm not seeing any great lines of people waiting to get in. They're very nervous and they're reluctant to go out. Some people still are very reluctant to go out. So we're going to keep an eye on it. And as I said, I don't see anything going wrong right now. So let's hope it gets better.
Now, in terms of other things that may be reopening, we've talked about, some other social activities. And, every time we do these live interviews, Mayor, we do ask people if they have any questions to submit one. And we do have one from Andrew McIntyre, who wants to get an update on the basketball hoops. I know that has been an issue for quite a while here in the city of Fall River. What can you tell to Andrew about the potential of, putting up those basketball hoops and allowing that activity?
Yeah, last week I was on the phone with the lieutenant governor, and that was the question I asked her: when can I put up the hoops? They would allow hoops to go up with supervised activities, but that's not practical in Fall River. I'm hoping, she said July, I'm hoping maybe next week, the week after, we can start getting some hoops up. I think it's very important. That's a game that's played in every park in the city. Um, as I said the other day, if I could put them up myself, I'd put them up right now, but I don't believe that they're allowing us to do that. Although I did hear someone told me that there was some hoops that went up last night in Boston, and I'm going to follow up on that and see how they did it. If that's the case, we'll do the best we can to get some up. But I didn't even believe that was true because I know Marty Walsh said he was keeping them down too. So if we can, we'll put them up. If we can't, we'll wait like everyone else.
And we just keep asking for people to be patient and remain patient. Again, this week, more complaints continue to come in. And again, in informing the city councils this week, you brought up the issue of fireworks and the issue of people still lighting fireworks, which are illegal in Massachusetts within the city. Your office, again, released the regulations concerning fireworks in the Commonwealth, as well as the noise ordinance. Is there still an issue, and how are police handling it?
Well, last Friday we did a little pilot program. We sent an undercover car out with a couple guys in it at night, and they made contact with some people that were letting off fireworks, and it seemed to have a dampening effect on it. So what we did this week with the chief, our new chief Cardoza, was we have 2 units split in the city right at 195, one in the south end, one in the north end, following the streamers, following the explosions, following the complaints, chasing down exactly where they're being used. And it seems to have quieted a little bit over the last few days. We're going to stay on a little while. As I said to one of the TV stations, last year, I think from April to June, we had 10 complaints. This year we had 370. So it really was getting out of control. And we're trying. And I read a horrific story the other day about a baby 17 months old in 17-month-old in Connecticut that got burnt really bad from fireworks.
Yeah. Let me go back, if I could, briefly back to parks and recreation. We had a question about the basketball hoops, and we had another question just came in concerning other portions of the parks, the playgrounds. Victoria wants to know whether the playgrounds have been reopened.
The playgrounds are open.
Okay, so the playgrounds are open for people to take part with their children. Finally, this week, Mayor, a couple weeks ago, you held a special panel discussion with some city residents concerning how the city can be a little more inclusive. Last Friday, the city held a commemoration of Juneteenth, and tonight, I guess you're holding a second panel in terms of getting input from some city residents, and I think particularly some police officers tonight concerning on how the city can continue to be more inclusive. Fill us in on what that's going to look like.
Well, what we're hoping to do is get some opinions from people that are on the streets that work with our residents and work with their colleagues on the police department. How are they perceived? What are their interactions like? Do they find a welcoming city? Do they find a city that's reluctant to talk to them as minority officers, or do they feel comfortable when they're out and about in Fall River? I think we have 8 officers on a force of somewhere around 200. I know our new chief and I have discussed actively recruiting minority candidates to fill some of the openings as jobs open up shortly, hopefully, if we get the money. But we want to expand the diversity across government. And I think that when you talk to the police, which were under so much stress recently with all the protests, and see how they picture or how they perceive the citizens in Fall River, looking at them, working with them, I think it's important. I have no idea what they're going to say, and frankly, the couple I've talked to, I said, "You say whatever you want. We want to hear the truth." I think that it might be eye opening. I think I really don't know where it's going to go. We had a pre-meeting yesterday with a number of kids, and hopefully we all stay on point tonight. It's about an hour and a half meeting, and the chief will be there, and some of the officers, and we want people that are working for the city of Fall River to feel welcome and accepted, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter what your background is. We want you to be a comfortable working member of the Fall River community. And I think that because of the extreme pressure police have been under, if we can get these guys to come down here tonight and tell us where we can do better, where we can improve, where we have shortcomings, that's what I'm looking for. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel. I think we just need to hear from people on the ground what we can do better as to make public safety a priority in Fall River, and what we can do better to help those the residents that do need support, and what the interactions are like with our minority officers.
And again, tonight's event is at 5 o'clock. It is not open to the public. We do ask that you tune in to our sister station, FRGTV, channel 18 in the city of Fall River, and it'll be streamed on Facebook as well. And we'll have a follow-up on it next week. Mayor Coogan, as always, thank you for your time, and enjoy the fine weather. We'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it.
And we want to thank you for joining us again on this Thursday. And we hope we'll continue to provide these updates for you. If you're watching us live this afternoon at 6 p.m., we'll have our FRC Media News telecast on Channel 95 and here on Facebook. Until then, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great rest of your day.